In today's unstable world, being prepared for emergencies is essential. Natural disasters, economic disruptions, armed conflicts, and personal crises can occur without warning, making it crucial to have a well-thought-out stockpile of essential items. And proper stockpiling isn't about hoarding vast quantities of everything, but rather ensuring that you have a balanced, cost-effective supply of necessities that can sustain you and your loved ones in times of need. Now, my last video covered how to prep smartly without going overboard on items that aren't essential to survival. And today, we're going to take a look at how to effectively stockpile, focusing on the longevity and the utility of various items, from food to medications to household essentials. The principles of effective stockpiling. Stockpiling should be guided by careful planning and consideration of the shelf life, utility, and the cost of items. It's important to distinguish between stockpiling and hoarding. Hoarding often leads to waste and unnecessary expense, whereas strategic stockpiling ensures that you have the necessary items without overextending your resources. Food items with an indefinite shelf life. Certain foods can be stored indefinitely, making them ideal for long-term stockpiling. The amount to stockpile here is an average recommendation. And with more calories being burned as you're forced to do more manual labor, these numbers should be rounded up by at least 20%. Salt. As a mineral, salt never expires. Iodized salt, however, does lose its iodine effectiveness after about 5 years, although it remains safe to consume. Estimates for salt storage range from 3 to 10 pounds per person per year, factoring in uses beyond consumption, like salt licks for attracting wild game. My own personal recommendation is that you have between 20 and 30 pounds of salt per person. This will allow for the preservation of meat in a long-term grid-down situation. Sugar. Like salt, sugar also never expires. It can be stored for generations if kept in Mylar bags, but never place oxygen absorbers in your sugar. It will clump and turn into sugar rocks. The recommended amount is around 60 pounds per person per year. And once again, I recommend at least 80 pounds of sugar per person. Again, you'll be using it for food preservation in any long-term grid-down situation, as well as its other uses. Honey. Known for its natural preservatives, honey can last forever if stored properly. Its antimicrobial properties make it a valuable addition to any emergency food supply. White vinegar. White vinegar can also be stored indefinitely. It's useful for cooking, cleaning, and medicinal purposes. Baking soda. This versatile item never spoils. It's useful for baking, garden pests, cleaning, and even some medicinal purposes. Distilled spirits like vodka, whiskey, and rum. And these do not spoil if kept sealed. They can be used for medicinal purposes, cooking, and in some situations as barter items. Instant coffee. This must-have when stored in a vacuum-sealed container can last indefinitely. It's a useful item for both morale and utility in emergencies. Non-food items with indefinite shelf lives. Non-food items that do not spoil can be crucial in an emergency. Paraffin, lamp oil, and propane. These can be stored indefinitely and are valuable for lighting and cooking. Propane, in particular, is advantageous over gasoline for dual fuel generators due to its stability and lack of need for fuel stabilizers. Activated charcoal. Used for water filtration, air purification, and medicinal purposes, including as a poison treatment. If stored in a dry, airtight container, activated charcoal will last indefinitely. Long shelf life food items, 20 to 30 years. Several dry food items can be stored for decades if properly packaged, making them staples of any emergency stockpile. White rice. When stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, white rice can last 20 to 30 years. The estimates for storage vary, but 30 to 70 pounds per person per year is a common range. Wheat, berries, and dried pasta. Both can be stored for similar durations. Recommendations include 200 to 220 pounds of wheat berries and 20 to 30 pounds of pasta per person per year. I will add that the more wheat berries you can stockpile, the better, as grinding up the wheat berries gives you flour for baking bread. Beans. Pinto beans are easiest to store in bulk, but a variety of beans like black beans, lentils, and peas should also be included for nutritional balance. Approximately 70 pounds of assorted beans and peas per person per year is advised. And some additional long shelf life foods include powdered milk. Used for drinking, cooking, and baking, it will last 20 to 30 years if stored in the Mylar bags with the oxygen absorbers or left in sealed number 10 cans. Rolled oats. In Mylar bags or number 10 cans, rolled oats will last 20 to 30 years, and they're great for making snacks, cooking with, and baking. Dehydrated or freeze-dried fruits and vegetables. Stored in Mylar bags or the number 10 cans, these will also last 20 to 30 years. Cocoa powder. This is typically not one that is on any stockpile lists, but cocoa powder, used in baking or for beverages, can last 20 to 30 years when stored like the other items on this list, and it will make a great morale-boosting treat, regardless of how you use it. Bouillon cubes or powder. This is a staple item in flavoring meals and will last 20 to 30 years as long as it's stored in airtight containers. I store my bouillon in small 1-pound Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This way I'm not exposing a large amount to air when I need to use it. I also recommend making your own bouillon, as I have now discovered that every single major brand of cubed or powdered bouillon includes genetically engineered ingredients. Soy sauce. Another great flavoring agent. If stored in a cool, dark place, this will also last for 20 to 30 years. Freeze-dried foods. Freeze-dried foods offer a 30-year shelf life and are convenient for emergency situations, though they are more expensive. They're excellent for bug-out bags and emergency kits due to their ease of preparation and their ability to provide dietary variety and boost morale. Medium shelf life items, 3 to 5 years. Items with a shelf life of a few years require more diligent rotation, but they're still valuable. Flour and brown rice. Flour particularly is useful if you lack a manual grain mill for wheat berries, or you're wanting to save the berries for longer-term situations. Flour and brown rice last about 3 to 5 years. Storing 30 pounds of flour per person per year and rotating it regularly prevents spoilage. And the brown rice does not last as long as white rice because of the additional natural oils found in brown rice. Additional grains. Other grains like oats and barley also fit into this category, providing nutritional diversity. Canned foods, when stored in a cool, dry place, have a shelf life of around 2 to 5 years or longer. They are a convenient and durable solution for long-term food storage, providing a reliable source of nutrition during emergencies or when fresh food isn't available. And canned foods really belong in their own category, somewhere between medium shelf life and long-term shelf life, as they can last longer than 5 years if stored properly. And of course, there are many additional items you can add to this list of medium shelf life food items. Short shelf life items, 2 years or less. While these items require regular rotation, they're essential for comprehensive preparedness. Medications. Most medications have a shelf life of about 2 years, but they may retain their effectiveness for up to 5 years. Stockpiling basic over-the-counter medications like pain relievers, fever reducers, and stomach medications ensures you can handle common ailments. Antibiotics. Though more expensive and requiring a prescription, antibiotics are invaluable in emergencies. Services that provide legally prescribed antibiotics can be a prudent investment. Dehydrated medicinal herbs. While the longevity of these herbs is dependent upon the herb and which part you're storing, the potency of these herbs can be expected to last an average of 5 years. Flowers will lose potency first, while stems and roots will last the longest. Cleaning chemicals. Items like hydrogen peroxide have various uses but a limited shelf life. Unopened, it lasts about 3 to 5 years, but only 6 months after it's opened. It's useful for cleaning and minor medical treatments. Another important use for hydrogen peroxide is in hydroponic systems. Whether you plan to grow any food indoors or have a larger system outdoors, have plenty of hydrogen peroxide on hand, unopened, as a good idea if using hydroponics is in your plans. Effective stockpiling is not merely about accumulating supplies, but doing so in a way that is sustainable, practical, and financially sensible. This approach not only provides peace of mind, it also helps avoid waste and unnecessary expense. And always remember to buy what you will eat. Otherwise, you're wasting money.